They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on Your Shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
Bang, it's back. It's Bluebird on your shoulder for another good one. It's been a fun week. We didn't have to text each other talking about nothing to talk about this week because there's all kinds of things to talk about this
All
week.
kinds.
So right off the top, we have, some fun with old whiskey leaker, as my name is this week. He sends signals to everybody. You might as well call him Alfred. So, because he's got the signals down. He's got the signals down. I also do want to take a moment. I think the greatest pope in my lifetime passed away. So
I
Pope
think
Francis.
ever.
I don't know enough to say that, but I'm tending to agree with you off the top. Look, it's Pope Francis. It's not Pope Francis second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth,
Yeah.
seventh, or 80th, which leaves only one saint not chosen as a papal name. Only one, and that's Judas. So as long as we don't make Trump Pope, I don't think that one will get picked. But if we make Trump Pope, it'll probably be Pope Judas, because he was right. He had it right. He was right, and nobody wanted to listen to him. But no, Pope Francis being dead, that's really sad. It's a sad day, and I really hope that the conclave chooses to continue his legacy, quite like when they took Benedict the 16th, continued John Paul II. So
Yeah,
I definitely would say
and I
that.
think that from the discussions that I'm hearing, a lot of the cardinals that will be in the enclave were kind of moved into that position with
80%.
Francis. So I do believe that the church is on the right path, even though some conservative Christians would say otherwise. I think that they're finally
They big fucking mad,
starting to
dude.
get it right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it's 80% of the cardinals that will be voting are appointed. So it's everybody under 80 can vote. Those 80 and over cannot, and a lot of them over do want to return to a more conservative church.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen a lot of hate, like direct hate over the Pope, like calling him evil and saying he's in hell. And I'm like, the most Jesus like, because they don't know shit about Jesus. That's why.
Well, I was gonna say he's the one pope ever, which I kind of agree with you, is that makes him the greatest pope ever, that truly lived by what Jesus taught, was to just love.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's why
he was all inclusive. Like it's
well,
you can
he was
love
all
someone and not agree with
inclusive,
what they
and
do at the same time.
Yeah.
he rejected the pomp and circumstance, and
yeah,
I mean,
he still washed people's feet.
Yeah, and he lived in an. I
until,
mean,
the
he
past
lived.
year or two.
He didn't live in the papal residency. He lived in nunneries. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this dude was just different. And I like when he got elected. I remember the very first phone call he made in Argentina was to the newsstand down the street to say, "Hey, I don't know if you've seen the news, but I need to cancel my subscription." That's how regular this dude really was. He won't take the fancy cars. He used to ride his bicycle in Argentina and live in a shack.
Yep.
Then he doesn't live in the papal, and he goes to, like, come on, man. Like, this is very, and he took Francis of Assisi's name, who literally got naked, told the conclave to go fuck themselves, and ran out in St. Peter's Square, and then spent his rest of his life taking care of the homeless and sick and dying.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, I don't know. I just think he was very different. And even like, I know people in my life that are like, I wouldn't go as far to say they're atheists because they have spirituality. It's just more in witchy things or, Buddhist things and things of that, right? More Eastern philosophy or straight paganism, that also respect this Pope and like made them respect Catholicism a little bit more. And so I just really hope they do move forward. I think it was really cool to show like how far he's moved the church when today, I forget her name. I think it's Georgina. It was a nun that he lived with. They let her up to the where the cardinals and bishops
Mhm.
are, and they let her break protocol so that she could stand in solace for him because he dramatically impacted her life, right? Like, and this is a nun. Like, they don't let people. I think that shows how far he's pushed the church.
Yep.
So just
That reminds me of a joke. I'm sorry. I
probably not a good one
I
for
heard
a
a joke in
podcast.
I think Francis would appreciate this. So I heard that they will never let a woman become pope, and it's not because they're a woman and because of the dogma associated with that. It's because if they let a woman become pope, a couple thousand years ago they lost. Um, they lost the cup. Shit. Um,
Holy Grail,
the cup that Jesus drank out of.
the Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah,
So they lost the Holy Grail, and they don't want a woman to walk in there and open up a cabinet and say,
find it.
"It was right there. It was
The
right
whole
there."
time. The whole time. It's right there the whole time. The Holy Grail was in the cabinet the whole time. So yeah, that's probably
And
factual.
I
Actually,
was a classic man and couldn't even remember the name of it.
yeah, that's also true. Hey, but whatever, we didn't lose it. But yeah, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of her trailer
Oh
park
my
like,
God, it
came
was so
out,
gross.
and
So
and
gross.
so there's this other thing I've realized, like shifting up just a little bit, and I don't really want to dive all the way into this, so let's please refrain. Just with you two, I'll dive into it with anybody else, but not you two. How come the two most vocal opponents of the trans community in the Republican Party are two women, Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who look like men?
They really do. Holy shit. They really do. And a mix of an ape too.
It's probably because they that's racist.
I didn't know. Nah, it's racial.
I think that's why. They've seen men that are prettier than them, and it hurts.
That's true. I mean, shit, I could be prettier than them too. Like I
But
said
hey, we're
earlier,
gonna
there's
have a
not a whole
makeup
lot of
studio
people
in
on
the
this planet.
Pentagon.
I
Um,
saw that. I saw that we're going to add a makeup studio to the Pentagon. So we
so like
fired all the, but we didn't add the makeup studio to the Pentagon until we fired all the women.
right.
Now that we
Yeah, so
fired
they
all
don't
the
want trans,
women,
they
we
don't
want
want
to put,
DEI, they don't want women, but they want a makeup studio.
Yep.
yeah. So we fired all the women. Now we put a makeup studio in the Pentagon. And
Hey, Doge, I found your ways.
well, so I think there's a trend, right? And I was going to bring this up tonight. So that's actually a really good precluder to that. It's working. The fundamental ad hominem attacks on them are working.
Mm.
And it's wild to believe that they really are. In my fantasies, they would. So because I like to be that guy. But I didn't think they would actually work, but they are. Like Elon has announced that he wants to step away and doesn't want to do this anymore, specifically because the attacks on the left, which actually what he didn't say is the board said we need you to be CEO or step down.
Yeah. Right.
So he had to make a decision, but he's openly attributing it to the ad hominem attacks from the left, which I do actually believe have hurt this man deeply because he's like that. He's definitely got to be on the spectrum, dude.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the thing is that he has attributed his value to his success. So as the attacks came, so did the attack on his success, and so that's the only language that he speaks, and
right.
We spoke to him. So
no, that's I mean, it's very true. It's definitely had that, and I mean the absolute failure that Doge appears to be. So because he was promising like buku money and 1/80th of that has supposedly been found. Yeah, we get into all where I still haven't seen an original contract yet.
Well, I've seen a couple, but they're all completed contracts.
Yes, that's also factual. They are completed. Like, we already paid that.
Yeah.
So that's really true. But yeah, and then the other is I think the attacks on Like there are attacks on how awful he looks in TV and how he always looks hungover and how he always looks drunk. And I think that's where the makeup room is coming from, right? Like I think that's where I think you definitely ketamine with Elon. But that's where I think the makeup room's coming from is the ad hominem attacks that he looks like the drunk
kind
he
of
is.
the reason that I'm sure that he wanted that is because he's lived in makeup for the past couple of years since.
Oh, you mean he was a news reporter?
Yeah.
Not a
news
Mexican.
reporter.
Oh,
Not a
yeah,
news reporter.
that's right. He wasn't on Brett Barr. You're right. You're right. So that's about the only program on Fox that actually has a news report.
Right.
So, but no, he does want to add the makeup room, and that's just it's ludicrous, right? Like the level of clown
Yeah.
that it's like you do want to make it right. They stock it correctly, bro. I hope you call up Joaquin Phoenix and ask him how he got that Joker makeup just right, dude. Like fuck, dude.
Make sure you over ordered shoe sizes,
right? And you know what's interesting though? I know for sure last admin he'd been fired on, and I think he does want to fire, but he doesn't want to give us the W.
Yeah.
And he's caught in that moment with this man who this round of people that were resigned, right? Which I originally thought meant fired, like it normally does. And I'm hearing that it actually was resigned.
Yeah.
These are all three of them are his people.
Yeah.
Like not his people now. Like have been riding with him for like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And like these are his, that'd be like me being in his position having you two. And then you two resign on me. You know what I'm saying? Like how fucked up is it? If the people
I think they learned a lot from all the convictions that they are not willing to put their freedom at stake for this man because he won't listen.
That's really
they see the writing on the wall and they said, I've been a very privileged white person. I am not going to look good in orange.
And I think that they're seeing the pushback from the courts, and that shit's scary, when you're told, oh, don't worry, you can do whatever you want.
Then the courts are standing up. They're like, we're about to go down.
Yeah.
The courts are an interesting reality, right? Because they're feckless. Without like there's a level of respect, and if that respect isn't there, they're actually feckless. What are they going to do?
Yeah,
what are they going to do? They have no military, they don't have no right, there's no fighting arm there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so they are ultimately feckless, and it requires people to want to respect them based on the Constitution of the United States of America, right? So which seemingly doesn't seem to be the case with them, but I think you do make a point, right? Like, so I have really, really, really taken an interest in this Harvard v. Trump.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they fucking named everybody. Bondi, Patel, Hesketh, Trump, Miller. Like they went down the line like you're all fucking dumb. And I'm going to be honest. I think Harvard's lawyers might be better than Trump. That's all I'm saying. Being though it's the premier law school in the world.
Yeah.
So on planet Earth,
which is probably why he wants to be
Chinese attorneys come to Harvard.
Like these sons of bitches coming after me.
Yeah. So no. So they didn't bend the knee.
Yeah.
Everybody else has been bending the knee. Like starting with we get to that one later. That's on the list of things. That's on the list of things. But everyone else has bent the knee, right? Like so, it started with the MSNBC morning people, like Joe, and I think that's I'm not sure it's actually his wife, but I don't watch MSNBC. But you went and bent the knee immediately. Bill Morris went and bent the knee. All the Columbia University bent the knee. Michigan University bent the knee. That's because y'all bitches. So, but all these people have bent the knee, and finally, we got somebody we can stand behind.
Yeah,
that didn't bend the knee, that stood up and said, "No, there's a constitution, and we're allowed to do this, and you're not going to tell us." And they have enough endowment where they don't need
right.
But people don't realize like the funding he cut doesn't. It's not salaries.
Right.
It's research funding.
Right. Right.
It's not like, so people are like, oh yeah, you're hurting them in their pockets. No, you're hurting kids with cancer.
Well, yeah, and you're talking about a university that's already offering from starting next school year 5,000 students free tuition to be more inclusive. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, it's in a weird city for me because, being a Yankee fan and everything, man,
Right.
that campus is gorgeous.
Ain't it though?
So, but it is. And I'm really excited that I have something that I can stand behind and I have some hope. And somebody didn't bend the goddamn knee because I'm not going to bend the knee.
Right.
So
Well,
you're going to have to send my ass to CCOP, bro. Because
well,
I'm not.
and the lawyers, what's their name? Something in Co. The lawyer firm that he tried to
Mark Ellis. Mark Elias. That's how you pronounce it.
Elias and
Elias. Yeah,
like
Elias.
Chloe?
Yeah, something along. Yes, it's Elias's and his partners. But
Yeah.
Elias he has never lost an election or politics related case ever.
Yeah.
Like, he's supposedly the most feared lawyer in that realm on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, and
he signed
he
an
also
executive order
did.
that refused them access to be
Yeah.
able to do their job.
Right.
So,
And he still put out a statement after he did that and said, fuck you, we're doing this.
yeah.
So, but I think it brings up some interesting stuff, right? So if he can do that to Harvard, right? Like pull their funding, take their tax exempt status away, do this, do that because, they made him sad or something, or they didn't agree with them. I think of all the people in the world, I think the right really wants to pay attention to this because this is not a precedent you want.
Right.
So, as current projection, we may be able to impeach him in a year and a half. Like, we may win so unbelievably much that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Success. I don't get the technicality. Impeachment means you're actually gone. You know what I'm saying? So I know that's not how it really works, but that's in my brain. If you got impeached, you got kicked out. So Clinton didn't get impeached. Nixon didn't get impeached. He resigned. Does that make sense? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's fine.
Nixon actually didn't get impeached. He did resign.
Yeah, he resigned before he
did
actually
get impeached.
Well,
didn't he? He got impeached and then he resigned before he went to trial because he was going to get removed. So, is that my right?
100% going to get removed and go to prison if he didn't resign.
But I think the big reason you don't want to set this precedent is we'll go after the churches.
Right.
We will straight go after the churches. If you do this to the educational institution, we will go after the tax exempt status of the churches who donate ish loads of money to politics or all kinds of involved in politics. Yeah. And I don't think that's right either, personally. However, if we have truly entered the realm of tit for tat, then I think that's the first tit, right? And then I also think the other, right, in this realm of where there's a precedent being set that I don't think they want, is okay. If you're terroristic or anti-American, we can deport you immediately without due process, right? And we can send you to a foreign prison. And then he openly gets called on the hot mic saying that he wants homegrown people to be able to go there too, right? He got called on the hot mic saying it. People are like, where did he say that? I love putting the clip up right there. Listen, it's his voice. He did it. That's not AI. I can show it to you from 12 different news stations, including Newsmax and OAN. You know what I'm saying? And Tim Pool. But so does that count for domestic terrorists too? So when we do retake power, we can go after your churches and we can send you to the fucking gulag because you're a domestic terrorist who openly supported him. And now we've shown you all this truth where he was a traitor.
I mean,
maybe not as directly of a traitor as like
should be able to
Benedict.
Yeah. Should be able to. It does say to protect against foreign and domestic.
That's the oath for the military, yeah, but
right, but still, I mean, you would think that it has a broader scope than that.
You still have to give them due process.
Right, due process.
I mean,
the only way you have to,
if it involves killing you before you get that due process, that's neither here nor there. But
that's true.
Right.
But they're also like, so they're saying the Alien Enemies Act, right, that we use for internment camps.
Yeah.
like it's funny, they don't realize why the narratives have shifted, right? So like the narrative was originally it's the executive power, he's allowed to do it. Second amendment or second article, does that. Like that's on Article 2 powers, let him do this, da da da. And the Supreme Court came out 9-0 and was like, nah, that ain't it. And then he lost another one recently, which I don't think was
It was
a major.
5-4.
I don't think the case itself was such a big win.
Yeah.
I think it's showing that the court is possibly
Doing
fed
what
up
the
with
court's
them.
supposed to do.
Well, no, I think they might be kind of fed up, and they're taking a stand in a way that they absolutely should. But
Well, yeah, they're having to take on all these cases for him when they could be handling other things that actually matter.
Right. I agree with that. But
I mean, you know how it is when you're in a courtroom and the guy that went before you pissed the judge off. That's the worst thing that can happen to you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I do. So what's really bad is I think I pissed the judge off, and the guy behind me got screwed, and he was my friend.
Yeah.
So I think that might have happened. But yeah, you were there. So yeah, no, it's but I do think
so this last ruling was 5-4, and the 4 conservative judges that dissented, they actually didn't really say that they didn't agree with the ruling. They said that it should have been handled by a lower court. And if it should have been handled by a lower court, then why did they pick it up? So
I don't think they get to choose. I think John chooses. Doesn't he? Isn't that how that works? The Chief Justice chooses?
He was one of the conservative judges that ruled against it.
No. Oh, that's not dissent then. You said dissent.
Yeah, dissent.
Dissent would be the 4.
Yeah. He was one of
John Roberts
who picked it up.
No, John Roberts was on the majority. He was part of the
was it him and Kavanaugh that?
No, this one was actually him and Gorsh.
Oh, Gorsh, that's right.
That went 5-4, and then Kavanaugh, Comey, Clarence, I took your money, Thomas.
Yep.
And Amy, I better show them some love because they think I'm the Satanist now. Barrett. Dude, ACB is not my future ex-wife like AOC is. We can fight. But she's really been a good jurist.
She has not been bad.
I was because
her and Kavanaugh have not really been as bad as I really thought.
Because they've been jurists.
Right.
They've actually interpreted the law as unbiased and apolitical as humanly possible because they respect the seats that they sit in, and not only the seats they sit in, but the people who came before them that sat in those seats. Kavanaugh is respecting Scalia.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's really, really, really it is. It's just really respectful, and like I'm really glad we do have them, but I think the overwhelming the precedent setting, but the Alien Enemies Act, they keep now that's their new narrative. Like it's on Twitter, which I got banned from, and other things like that. But their new narrative is like, well, you're not respecting the Aliens Enemies Act. And I'm like, okay, so you guys realize this narrative isn't going to last very long? Because the reason it changed is because we were like, no, that's unconstitutional. And then everybody was like, yeah, they're right. And so now they've changed the narrative to, well, we can do it because this. But then I think everybody who says that's never read it. And it clearly states to do that, we have to be at war with the country.
Right.
So, we're not at war with Venezuela or Cuba.
We're not at war with
Mexico. Anybody. Yeah, right. So, we really can't use that as our justification. So, this is going to be a really short-lived narrative.
Yeah.
But it brought me to this. And I've always known, I know the people that we went to high school with that vote MAGA. And I'm not saying all of them, but even the ones that we weren't close to, but even the ones we were close to, I like these people. I've always liked these people. They were never the brightest crayon in the box. They were never the kid. They're never none of our friends that were in AP classes are voting MAGA. You know what I'm saying? It didn't happen. So so there's a reality to that group of people, right? I'm not talking shit. It's just true, right? But ultimately, I'm coming to the conclusion that the very vocal MAGA influencers, for the most part, there's a few that aren't, but for the most part, they're very Gen X. And I think they're still big mad and nobody loves them. Like they've
You might not
carried
be
that
wrong about
shit.
that.
Because that's what I think it is, right? Like I watch, like they are so upset that we still don't like them. Like Twitter is more angry today than before the election, and you fucking won.
Right.
Yeah.
But they thought winning was going to bring acceptance from us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not the cure all this time around. And
We didn't bring
actually,
acceptance the first time.
yeah. Well, so there was a presidential historian that released this article today of he was rating like how they're doing in their first 100 years or first 100 days, and it was reported on Fox News. Not only was he the next to last and last rated dumbest president in history, but the two worst presidents in their first 100 days as far as matrix.
Rating.
Yeah, well, the approval rating and like performance of the economy, international, how you're holding that, all the numbers that matter as far as being a president.
No.
He was the last this time around and next to last the first time.
So yeah, I actually saw the approval ratings, right, for the first 100 days, and they put a bunch of past presidents, like anyone that we would have heard of in our lifetime. That
it was all our lifetime,
right? But that isn't historical, right? Like, and he is 1% more disapproval than in the first term at 100 days, and so at least he got some kind of victory here. He's 1% worse than before. Good fucking job, dude. You won something. Congratulations.
Well, he does play golf. He's used to trying to shoot the lowest score possible.
So it is. Yes, that's true. People do hate on his golf game. The man can't actually golf. Like that is the thing. He can
absolutely.
Yeah, that is the thing. Well, no, like so if you see him, like if you see clips of him actually hitting the ball, and if you golf, the man can golf. He's got skills. He's got skills.
But also, everybody that he plays with says that he cheats, even though he can golf decent.
So did Billy. It's fine. It's a New York thing.
Not trying.
Yeah, but I just think that acceptance is right, and the approval ratings all the time, and then everyone keeps bringing up like the Democratic Party has a 21% approval rating, and I don't know. I can't find that poll anywhere.
It's not a real figure.
I can't find that poll anywhere. Yeah, I figured it had to be something like that. So I couldn't find it anywhere, and it's a strange reality to me, but they keep throwing that at me. Well, they did on Twitter before I got kicked out. They keep throwing that at me, and I'm like, I don't know where this comes from, but that's okay because like we'll still vote for him. We don't have to approve of him at this point. Like I think the very far left progressives have realized they fucked up. I'm pretty sure a majority of the Latinos have realized they fucked up. Yeah. The African American males, I don't know where they stand. I don't think that they really feel like they fucked up yet. A few have, I've seen, but not as many. However, that's because we're not 2 years in yet. When we're 2 years in yet and all the brown ones are gone, then you're gonna find out you fucked up. So
well, and I think I've seen every sharp turn that this has taken over the past, well, what are we at? You said I called it at 3 months. So
yeah, you're talking about Hegseth. You said he wouldn't last 6 months,
right? So you know what? We're 4 months into this, and each sharp turn that this has been taking, I see more and more people getting quieter.
Yeah,
and then of them, a couple of those people are saying, "Yeah, this is fucked up." So it's gonna take some time, but if nothing else good comes from this, I think that some people are learning some hard lessons. Hopefully it doesn't require 1 million people to die, but if people are able to shake loose of this tribal xenophobic stranglehold that the fear mongering has created, I think that we've
Accomplish
averted
something.
disaster, hopefully. So
Yeah, averted disaster and accomplish something. I actually have tended to agree with you. So I go, as you guys know, the audience may not, I go back and forth to Miami a lot for work. Um, and it's extremely large Cuban population down there. Um,
mhm.
the people are very kind and
Small
the food is
population, yeah.
phenomenal. And the coffee is to die for, man. Every time I come home, I gotta drink like 8 gallons more of coffee. I get one little 12-ounce colada and I'm
Oh
running
yeah.
marathons. Um, but so I just told her last night when I got home, because I came in late, and I didn't notice it last trip, but I definitely noticed it this time. So leading up to the election and after the election, the amount of MAGA hats I saw in MIA airport and the amount of
Mhm.
officers in like TSA that were very Cuban
Yeah,
dominated would be like, oh, I love your hat, right? Because the Cubans love him.
yeah,
Because they've fully sold the narrative that Democrats are socialist and that's Castro. So
yeah,
like I understand
yeah,
how it happened, but
yeah.
I just realized last night I openly realized I hadn't seen a MAGA hat, not one. And then
Hmm.
I realized, holy shit, on my last trip I didn't see one either. And like I've used to see them all, like the red one, the
Yeah.
black one, the homemade ones, the 47 one.
Yep.
She actually brought up the pink one. I've never actually seen the pink one, um, but I didn't see any. And so what you're saying right there, I
Mhm.
think there's some real world, you know, correlative, right?
Yeah,
Because they're going to try to say that because I didn't see some hats, I think that nobody
yeah.
likes MAGA because they don't understand correlation and causation, and we won't get into
Right,
that.
right.
But I think that's some pretty good correlative evidence. I don't think it's
Yeah.
empirical evidence, but I think it's pretty good correlative
Well, and
evidence
and
that
I think you could probably even, algorithm it out and see that there's less positive talk, even on like Facebook and places like that where, you know, even those that, would normally fight tooth and nail to defend whatever stupid position is being thrown out there by the conservatives are now, just, oh, we have to wait and see, that like that's about as hard of an argument that you get right now because like even they're like ugh, ugh.
yeah, that is the
They're
number
like,
one
yeah, we
argument.
know. You just gotta be patient and
Yeah,
see what happens.
yeah.
It
Like
takes
that's literally all they
time.
say.
It
It's
takes
not.
time.
I've
Day
got, yeah,
one.
I've got some
We
people that
didn't
will
really think he
literally,
meant that.
yeah,
We
So
just hit the highest price in gasoline in like 2 years, and egg prices 2 weeks ago, I think, hit the highest that they've ever been.
yeah.
yeah,
But
So
you know
it's
what that was about. That was
but
an increase because of Easter, because the demand went up. They
yeah,
capitalized
that's
on that.
yeah.
Although since he's been in office, they have went up on an average of 82%.
So I actually watched some interesting reels about like a guy does interesting like little bits about kind of like Adam ruins everything type of skits, and he was talking about how egg prices are an example of how megacorps are buying up all of these small companies that serve most of an industry, and they're controlling pricing and using fear mongering like the bird flu, which in 20 what was it 2022 there was a scare and not a single one of their birds died or caught it, but they still used it as an excuse to raise prices by 20%.
yeah. I mean, you bring up something really interesting, right? Like ultimately, if you boil it out, about six companies run most of the companies in the world,
Yep.
are in this country for sure, and in the manufacturing of products, the products we'll put it as products, right? Products
Yeah, yeah.
we use. And we spend a lot of time on like now we're like things we're talking about, right? We're fighting constitutional rights, and we
Right.
shouldn't have to do that. And we're fighting like we're about to fight birthright citizenship because the Supreme Court did take it.
I cannot
Yeah,
believe that they did
Like
that.
I said,
after a
I'm
9-0, and
hoping,
then they're gonna say, yeah,
yeah, but I hope they're taking it so that they
To
can say
slam
no.
him? Yeah, I
This
mean,
also is the thing, but
that's true.
we should be fighting things like that.
yeah.
We should be electing people who will dismantle these mega corporations under the monopoly laws or pass laws that they can't exist. People who will attack poverty, not poor people.
Right.
People that won't dismantle the education system because educated people won't vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wild to me. But I had a moment where in the beginning I was talking about headset and signal, and I realized I screwed up, and I said he thinks he's Alfred, and I don't want the comic stands to come for me. That'd be Commissioner Gordon. I looked at my name and it popped in my head, and I don't want the stands to come for me and be like, this man doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, Commissioner Gordon, he thinks he's Commissioner Gordon. My bad. So Alfred did I know who they are. Sorry, it was a moment. So I don't put that out there, but
Totally
you brought up
that.
yeah, I did. I did too until I looked at my name and I got one of those brains, right? That it talks to me and I don't know where the fuck it comes up with this shit. But you brought up China earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we've to tariff or not to tariff, that is the fucking question. Like, if I didn't already have a tariff title, that might have been the title of this week's episode. To tariff or not to tariff, that is the question.
Yeah.
This dude is bipolar on tariffs. And I think it's because like even his advisors are highly concerned about this. And supposedly we reduced the tariffs on the EU and this and this and this because they, they came to the table.
Right.
But they won't tell us what
freeze on it for one.
Yeah, well, that's because they came to the table. Well,
Right.
why won't you tell us who came to the table then?
Yeah.
We keep asking.
And what
and
you
won't
moved
tell
the
us.
table, you pushed a table into them and then told us that they came to the table.
Well, so what's gonna happen? Like, okay, like he's dealing with China right now, or we're dealing with China, however you want to say it. They're gonna end up being like, look, dude, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
We don't need you. And then they're going to come to some type of agreement that's going to be an L to him, but he's going to portray it as a win because, look, we came to an agreement. We got things done. As he says, we're going to live happily and things are going to be great.
Right.
But it's really an L, like you got your ass kicked in a tariff war that you started.
Just like when
he got his ass kicked
and then renegotiated it.
Yeah.
NATO,
So look what I did.
NATO,
I got this done.
And then NAFTA. NATO
Right.
into NAFTA. Or not,
Right.
no, yeah, NAFTA into NAFTA too.
Yeah.
Not NATO. He's trying to dismantle NATO too. If he wasn't trying to dismantle everything, I wouldn't get so confused. But no, I think you're right. So, but here's the reality, right? Like you're calling it a tariff war.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. They've done two things the whole time. Said, okay, cool. We won't buy your farm products anymore because they're intelligent and they know that the farmers voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
In mass, and the ranchers, and I mean, he's going to destroy the farming community in this country, and that's the cornerstone of America. We've talked about that in a previous.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to fucking destroy farming, and he's going to destroy farming to the point where Democrats become the farm subsidies fucking party, right?
Well, there's already farmers last month, so within the first quarter of the year, and if anybody knows anything about farming, they don't make a lot of money. Like a lot of it gets reinvested back into like the reason why they live so well is because they have someone build them a house and they are somewhat self-sustainable because they don't have to go to the grocery store.
Well, no, so I think
farmers lost $150,000 in the first quarter each.
Right.
Well, and
that is absolutely massive to a farmer.
And I don't necessarily think it's someone built him a house. I think it's someone built him a house 300 years ago.
Yeah.
Well,
before we were even American.
Family, yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's generationally passed down, and that's why the house is so big and it looks so. I mean, they really are. Farmhouses are so beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
But you're right, like because they are very sustained. They don't have to spend money on certain things, but they also work like absolute dogs.
Yeah,
like
they're up before. Yeah, if not more, they come up before the sun comes. They're feeding before the sun comes up.
Oh, 100%.
Because when the sun comes up, I got to be in the field. Right?
So they typically start. I know my uncle worked on a dairy farm out in Arcola, and I know he would be up at 4 o'clock in the morning getting started. Mm-hmm. And I mean, especially in the summertime when the sun's up longer,
10
he would be done 10, 11 at night.
11. You're getting on a good night 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Because it's work
And
to
then
be
you're
done.
getting up and you got to get out to do stuff because it's not like, unless you're on some type of like, I don't want to say plantation, but to where you have like a staff, you're out there all day long doing the work.
Yeah.
You and if you're lucky, 2 or 3 other people.
And plantation was a kind of farm, but I understand why you wouldn't want to say it. So, but now that I've seen that rhetoric rising too. Like I said, they haven't realized they fucked up yet, but it's coming. I know why.
Oh, I mean,
coming.
they're
But
already starting to see it in the fact that not only are prices not going down, but the outlooks aren't looking great, and the stock market is speaking hugely to the MAGA crowd. You know,
wow.
they're telling 20%, 10%, and what, 1,000 points today upwards when Trump announced that he was going to back off for the time being.
Well, that
Like,
was last 2
they're
days. It's been running really hard. 2 or 3 days. It's been running really
well,
hard
we
because he
saw a
said,
1,000 point
yeah,
increase today.
because he's
So
in the Dow. You got to
yeah,
specify in the Dow.
yeah, in the Dow.
So yeah, because he's because he does, dude. Because
He's bipolar. Yeah.
equities were plummeting, bonds were plummeting
Yeah.
because the trade war is going to make the dollar not as valuable, and we have all this hold in the dollar. All these foreign countries have invested so much money in America, and fuck, the dollar's not going to be worth as much, so I'm going to get rid of these. And then the rate yield was skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 things have never happened before at the
I
same
don't
time.
think you watched our episode.
I didn't watch your episode. I didn't. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just an hour I listened to you two. I didn't want to subject myself to.
So the dollar's actually at a, what was it, like a 12-year low or something the other day?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, see, so look, I'm smart and I didn't even watch your episode. See, and that's your guys' fucking ballpark.
Right.
It's not even my ballpark. I just happen to be educated.
Yeah.
So and I read things with.
Oh my God. Yeah,
So,
and one of the things that I was gonna say is there's a MAGA donor, a billionaire MAGA donor. I forgot his name. I'll see if I can post it. Did I share that link?
no, but I know what you're about to say, and I know who
Yeah.
he is, and I love it because it's true.
Yeah, because he's the one that, you know, said, like, he's warning the party that, like, you guys are fucking up bad right now, because what I'm seeing is, you know, a downturn in our economy, and I don't think that we can come back from it right now. Like, this is going to take time. And sorry,
Well,
but
it's because he goes on to say that the reason for that is because America's more than just an economy; it's a brand.
yeah, and
And
he's messed with the brand.
and the damage that we've done to the brand
Yeah.
is going to take so long to undo, if ever. I've got a few people, like, I'm banned, I can't post, but I can still read.
Yeah.
So like I still pop on my Twitter to read some of the people I like, that I can't seem to find on the Bluebird Twitter. So, but one of them is not, he's not American. I think it's a he. I'm assuming. Says he talks to a lot of his foreign friend, like, you know, he's English, and he talks to a lot of his foreign friends because he's an international business. That's civil. I mean, it's Twitter. Who knows what these people really do? They could be on nonsense. Yeah, I don't fucking know. But supposedly, you know, he's in international relations, right, in the UK, and he has a lot of foreign friends, and he's like, I feel really bad for the Democrats and the liberals in America because they think 4 years from now they're going to elect something and it's just going to fix everything, and they're not realizing this isn't going to be fixed.
No, I mean, we were barely starting to put things together with Biden in office. You know, he was the lame duck that I knew that we needed, but he wasn't up to rebuilding everything that Trump had eroded.
This is going to really,
yeah, you know, we were getting on track, but you know, all of that's right back out the window. You know, and not only that, but he's also talking about removing, like, you guys are both watching the freaking.
I'm petting my cat.
NFL draft is on, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm petting my cat.
Oh, okay. Sure.
I am. That's a jug right there.
So you know, and he's also talking about reducing our staff for the State Department and shutting down embassies and stuff around the world. Like, we're picking fights. We're taking away the people that can talk to these people to keep them from lashing out at us. And I was talking about like some of the parallels that I was thinking about talking about tonight. We're seeing a lot of people, talk about how, the last time we had a tariff war, we ended up in the Great Depression.
1932.
Yep. So we've talked about that. People are talking about how, Nazi Germany was a nationalist movement that then demonized, you know, Jews, and we're becoming the same kind of xenophobes that Germany was. The reason that the Nazis were able to rise to power was because of the Depression, and now we have that element talking to the 1930s Germany that we have become. And
yeah, I don't think we're to 30. I'm just gonna be honest.
okay, so I don't want to say that we're that far along, but that's how things happen.
There's a lot of
And
similarities.
Right. And I
and
also want to put out there that the absolute bone breaking sanctions from World War One and the Treaty of Versailles
sure,
is
yeah,
why Germany was in the economic position they were in. It wasn't because of the Depression yet.
well, yeah, but we're going to inflict that same kind of hurt on ourselves this time instead
Well,
of
yeah, because
it
it's
being thrust
funsies.
upon them.
Well, yeah, because
So
it's funsies and we should try it out.
right.
Like there's some kind of winning, right?
Well,
I
and
think a
that's
lot of
and
what
that's what
you
my
say is
concern is,
true.
with the way that the economy is now. If a big cog breaks, like America, the economy, if that cog breaks, then the whole thing could come unraveled. And that's going to create power vacuums and needs that people are going to fight for, like, food and shelter. And so when you create a situation where violence is the only way to get the things that you need to survive,
No,
bad things.
I do agree with you, right? Like I I think it's interesting. Like so there is some xenophobia. It is kind of Jewish based, but the interesting part is that's actually way more far left liberals than and the
Well,
extreme. Well,
Jews aren't the focus. It's just xenophobia.
no, that's not true. They very much are in the far left. I think that they are very much like the fact that Harris and Biden supported the Israeli state is more or less not the only because they get all fucking butt hurt when they think they're the reason. But what I have noticed is when the two women ran, that particular group, who should be the most forward because that's where all the social justice warriors come from,
Right.
seem to come up with damn fine reasons to absolutely sabotage the fucking female candidate. Because both times it came from our side, both times. So, and that shit pisses me off. I told somebody, I got in an argument with somebody the other day, like, you don't have to like it, especially in this election. The first time with Hillary, okay. I can kind of understand because we didn't really think he could win, right? Like I knew.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, didn't think he could really win.
I didn't think America was that dumb, honestly.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, but this time
that was a bad
around,
night. I didn't sleep for 2 days after that.
yeah, this time around though, you cannot like her.
Yeah.
You cannot like that she's pro-Israel. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that's extreme. I think she was pro both sides, right? But she's pro-Israel, right? You got to fucking swallow that shit.
Right.
And you don't have to like it. And you could sit here, like, not on the podcast, but we could sit before and after the podcast talking about how much we hate her.
Yep.
But they were using their platforms, these very large social media platforms, to attack her. Yeah. And it caused people to not vote for her or not vote.
Yeah, I mean that I've said that.
Yeah, and now we have
the things that
people
Republicans
literally being deported to gulags, bro. Being deported to gulag. We have somebody firmly attacking the Constitution of the United States of America because you were mad that we honored weapons contracts from 15 years ago. Like, there was no new arms sales to Israel, ladies and gentlemen. These contracts have been in place for quite a long time. And we're just honoring our word because we're Americans and we do that.
But then we abandoned Ukraine day one because we couldn't
Well, we
stand
did.
behind that contract, so we let
Well,
somebody else come in and
well, that's because Poppy would be mad. So Poppy Putin would be big mad. But yeah, I think circling full circle back, like China didn't do a goddamn thing but call us bluff. Well, okay.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
It's only going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your businesses, not me. They're still going to buy our shit because they have no other option. They're going to, we talked about that last week. Oh, they're going to open factories. Even if they are, it's going to take a lot longer than that. So you still got to buy it from China for now. And so they literally sat around and I think the Chinese drink tea and eat, I think they drink tea. Maybe I know they drink sake, but no,
they drink a lot of tea. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually,
so they do drink
have
tea.
some of the best tea. Honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't that like a thing? Like looking for, I'm feeling very like Christopher Columbus was looking for a trade route for more tea, right? Like, yeah, it's all coming together here. So that education shit. But yeah, they just sat there and drank their tea. Like, okay, like we're not gonna buy anything from your farmers. That's the only move we're actually gonna make. We're not gonna tariff you because we don't really import your shit to begin with. Right. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. And we're going to let you look like a blustering fucking idiot. And now he has to walk it back.
Yeah, and because our economy spoke to him.
Right. Yeah. And when, you've got all these other countries and California reaching out to other suppliers, so that they don't have to pay that. Like, I think Spain was the first one that reached out to China, like, we'll deal with you directly.
Yeah. So we did this
as a unit. Yeah.
We talked about this last week. I'm pretty sure it was recent. It was last week, but we were talking about California and the 5th largest economy in the world. It's now the 4th largest economy in the world.
Wow.
It bumped up. It's Japan.
Japan, maybe. Yeah.
It's Japan. No. See, I didn't know. I knew it was us and Russia, or us and China were 1 and 2. I now know Germany is 3.
Yep.
California is 4, and Japan is 5.
Yep.
So I didn't know. I didn't know who was 3 and 4.
India has the fastest growing economy in the world.
That's the last. You're doing
for
really
like 10 years running, though.
You're doing really good at this clairvoyance thing this week. Because that's the last point I was going to bring up today, and we had limited time left, so I was going to drop it, but I'm not going to. So the other promise, outside of a 1929 style economy that he promised if Kamala got elected, right? Yeah, it was one of his promises. Well, he's bringing that to fruition. The other is that she would start World War III. Did you see India is talking about ending the ceasefire with Pakistan?
Ooh.
No, I did not.
Yeah, that's coming to surface this late this afternoon. That started
at the same time that we're picking a fight with Iran.
Right. Perfect. So we're picking a fight with Iran.
Not just like IMF missile strike done earlier this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Germany's going to step into Ukraine like it's all about to pop off over there.
Dude, Germany does know how to fight. There's no bullshit.
Yeah.
They don't win, but fuck, they can fight, dude.
Russia, who's clearly struggling with a nearly third world country.
India and Pakistan are both nuclear powers who
have
that's the same as like I know people, dude, the fucking pro-Palestine people are gonna hate me this episode. It's the same as the Israeli, the Jewish and the Palestinian people, because like they're going to be like, well, the Jews didn't exist there until 57 years ago, and we're going to completely ignore 3,000 years of history, before they left and went to Europe because they got pushed out, by the caliphate. I mean, we could go into it if you want to go into it, but it's very similar. The point is
the major difference is that Palestine is a proxy. So, where Pakistan and India or Iran and America are for real
forces.
both
sovereign nations. Sovereign nations.
Yeah.
So, well, I
So,
guess okay. So Palestine is a sovereign nation. I don't want to. I really don't want them to come between the comic stands and the Palestine stands. I am in fucking trouble this week.
well, and I think that the two-state solution is the only solution.
I believe
So,
it is
you
also
know,
the
I
only
can
solution.
push back on that a little bit. You know,
No, I agree with that 100%.
anti-Palestine. So,
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Right? Like, I do agree the two-state solution. I do not think they should be genocided. I really don't.
right.
But I also think whether it was our bombs or not, it would have still happened. And we wouldn't have allowed them to build a golf course. So on the dead bodies of the children. But yeah, Pakistan, India is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
So I guess there was a
yeah.
terrorist attack that killed 26 in Kashmir,
Mm.
and they're saying it was the Pakistan, like, you know, a rogue Pakistani group, because it's always the extremists, right?
Sure.
And I think that people often forget, like, they underplay events like this. Like, oh, it's just, you know, it was a rogue element. And then now, you know, so how is that going to lead to World War? You know, I don't know. Check out.
How did it
It
lead
lead to
to a
World War
20-year
One.
war
Right. Yeah.
on
Like,
terrorism?
yeah.
So,
Well, no. World War One was started by some lunatic from a faction killing somebody's brother,
yeah,
nephew, Ferdinand. Right.
Ferdinand, yeah, yeah,
So that was what started World War One.
nephew.
Yeah. No. So that's what started World War One.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, the world wars can be started by something this small, by one extremist doing something. Yes, and a group of extremists doing something to us created a 20-year war on terror where we kicked some ass. We got beat up a little bit in Afghanistan, but everyone seems to get beat up a little bit in
We
Afghanistan. But it's because
we killed so many people.
no,
Like,
it's because we do,
we
like,
had
people need to understand that we use restraint.
right.
Because Iraq and Afghanistan could be sheets of glass with no life.
And we lost a total of like 5,000 people total.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we could turn your whole country into a sheet of fucking, yeah. We could turn your whole sheet of country into a sheet of glass. We could do that. We have that. We have that level of firepower. So we do use restraint. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we may have lost, but we only lost because we didn't give it our best. We just gave it a good old college try. So if we would have gave it our best, there would be no Vietnam. There'd be no North Korea.
Right.
There'd be no Afghanistan, no Iraq. No, they wouldn't exist. They would be history, literally.
Right.
They would be in books, and that's it. Like the Armenian people, which I'm not 100% sure what happened to those people. I just know people talk about how their whole culture was decimated. So I use them as a correlative.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think the right, MAGA right, because I am starting to see a reblossoming of Republicans.
Yeah.
Which is all I have ever hoped for, that they will
take back their party. That's what I keep saying.
Well, take back your party and give some balls. Where is Congress, dude? Right. Congress is sitting in the corner pissing themselves. You're congressmen and senators. You got some power. Fucking use it. You're an Article 2. They're Article 2. You also are an Article, and you were their most powerful branch by design, because you had a whole bunch of white landowners who from different states who all wanted things. So that's why
it was because they were spread out. So it gave more voice to more people, you know. That's why Parliament is so important to England, but they get embroiled in deadlock because, you know, there's not enough majority. That's where the two party fight has. It was helpful for a long time, but now it's turned into, you know, two propaganda machines that are just pretending like they're fighting each other when really they're just keeping poor people poor.
That's so true. But this is, I mean, being in the party, they say that a lot. But no, what I was getting at there is MAGA is really committing identity politics quite a lot. Like, they just want us to accept them really bad.
Yeah.
And I'll wrap it up with this. So I saw this. It's not an original thought, but I thought it was it was put out there as a joke, right? And I think it was on TikTok actually that I saw it. But it got me not feeling like it was funny. It got me thinking, like, fuck, there's some reality to this, and it explains a lot. So you remember, like, when we were in high school, and like the social groups are separated.
Yeah.
Like the smart kids are in the smart kid classes, the regular kids are in the regular kid classes, the special kids are in the special kid classes, and I'm not talking about disability. You know what I'm saying? The bad kids are in the bad kid classes. That was me. You know, sometimes even the bad kids school.
Or
So
the bad kid bed.
yeah, that was definitely you, bro. I've pulled you down the stairs to sleep, bouncing your head off, and you didn't wake up. Anyway, social media has put all of us in the same room,
Yeah.
and it's not working.
Mm-mm.
It's not working at all. And I
Well, and
really
everybody
do.
has the same volume, so they think that the louder and faster that they talk, the more power that they have, the more influence that they have. And unfortunately, it's kind of true, you
It
know?
is kind of true. Stupid people have gotten power, and
Yeah.
it's had fucking terrible results so far. It just really has. But they really do. They're so seeking our acceptance
Yeah.
that, like, I think that's ultimately what it is, and why they're so goddamn angry with us. It's not our policies, because they couldn't even explain to you what one of our policies was.
Not one.
It's not one. They could tell you what they read on Twitter. I promise you that, but they couldn't actually tell you. They couldn't. It's not our policy. It's the fact that we won't accept them,
Yeah.
and we're not going to accept you because you're destroying your fucking country and you're happy
Well, and
about
they live in fear and hate. Like
it. Yeah,
that's
but
my biggest thing,
it is fear
you
and
know?
hate. It is,
Well, and
but
they're also
they're
really
happy.
good at taking little snippets of something that they read or see that backs their argument. Is like, well, no, it says here, but like they didn't finish reading the paragraph.
Let
I
alone the
had
whole article.
a Jesus
Like,
conversation or argument with a preacher, no less, about he was trying to turn the other cheek into forcing the oppressor to see you as an equal. And I was like, that's not like
That's
it's
wild. So, but yeah, I think, and I just want to make it clear, if you continue to tell me that we can ignore the courts and that the Constitution doesn't matter, I'll never fucking accept you,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't think you're fucking American.
Or you know,
And I am down to
if you're
disagree on, I want to disagree on policy again desperately.
right.
I want to talk policy again desperately. I want to be neighbors again
Yeah.
desperately. But if you want to put your middle finger up to the Constitution because you worship the fucking Cheeto,
He's talking about my day.
yes, good job. If you want to do that, fuck you. I can't fucking deal with it, bro. I just can't. I won't accept you, and I think you're borderline treasonous
Yeah. Yeah. I
because
mean,
you're. And I
I've told
said it the
people
other day.
if your goal is to take away my friend's rights to exist, then I will always fight you.
yeah,
Agreed, 100%. And I think the close will be this: the founders didn't give a fuck what the dumb people thought then, and they certainly wouldn't now.
yeah,
They wrote it the way they intended to write it for a reason. And I think they were 22 and 23-year-old extremely brilliant men
Mhm.
who had learned a lot through experience and wisdom. And you are shitting on our country. And if the Constitution doesn't matter, then every single ounce of blood spilled for this country was for naught. Because this is the great experiment. And they need to wake the fuck up and realize you don't have to like it. But the Constitution of the United States of America says it will be. And if you want to change that, get an amendment passed. Good luck with that in
Right.
2025. So, but until next week, we went a little over. We started late and still went over. We won't accept you if you want to be traitors, for the record. I'll put that. I'll never bend the knee to the fucking Cheeto. I'll never kiss the ring. Rest in peace, Pope Francis. And I know you're a good guy, but when this guy dies, don't let him.
Yeah.
Okay. And outside of that, we will see you next week. Like and subscribe. We have an active Twitter. You can come follow us on Twitter. I pretty much run it, I'll be honest. And I don't say very mean things, just slightly mean things to people, not very mean things. I'm
Our,
very cordial.
our Facebook business page, I mostly run, and and I pretty much share a lot of links of the things that we talk about over the episode. So that's a good place to reference some of the things that we talk about.
That's
We
also
also do
true.
have an Instagram that we'll get around to doing
Oh
something.
yeah, I saw you trying to launch it the other day. With the email kept
Did not
telling
get
me
that
you were
code to send.
requesting codes. I had them. You should have told me. I got all of them.
I don't, they weren't popping up in the email.
Dude, I have every single one of them in the email. So, but anyway, and he doesn't run any social media accounts because we're very lucky that he can even use his cell phone.
He can
So,
talk
so excellent. Till next week, we'll be whispering in your ear, Bluebird on your shoulder, and we're out.
Take care.